So I have to tell you a really funny story that happened this weekend with this phone Phubbing business. My partner and I went to a restaurant, and it was noticeable that the restaurant was dead quiet, but it was full of people. We sat next to a mother, and it turns out her 9-year-old daughter, and behind us was a young couple. The woman was eating, the man had finished eating, and he was on his phone, did not say a word to them for the entire time we were in the restaurant. They didn't speak not once. The mother and the daughter were doing the same thing. The mother was just sitting there on Facebook, even after the food came and the food was there. She didn't even look at the food. She just kept on her messages. Finally, at one point, she stopped, took a picture of it, took a picture of her daughter eating, and then asked her daughter to take a picture of her slicing the food, but she never ate. But she has pictures of her. She has pictures of her looking like she's eating. But here's a funny thing. My partner's like, should I say something like, why don't you pay attention to your daughter? I was like, don't. And we don't even know if we'll have the language skills to communicate because we don't speak Vietnamese. It turns out that both the mother and the daughter spoke extremely good English, and I'll tell you how we found out. So I said to him, as a black person here in Vietnam, people stare quite a bit. I mean, like a lot. I've been with, like most people don't notice it because they just walk around like this. But when I've walked around with particularly with other foreigners or other people who are just, emotionally aware and sensitive, it blows their mind how much people stare. Now, in my culture, it's difficult to reconcile like ignoring people. Like people look at you, especially if they make eye contact, you acknowledge them. So for me, it would be, I know a lot of people say, why don't you just ignore them? But that's weird for me. Like I'm more comfortable just greeting people. And so it means that here in Asia, I'm constantly one of the few people who sees children. So like in this restaurant, the parents, as typical, aren't looking at the child at all, but I see the child and the child sees me. And true to form, my culture, I greet the child, and the child's like, oh, someone's talking to me. And then I start talking to the child, and I find out, of course, this 9-year-old girl speaks extremely good English. It's the only time that her mother puts down the phone. And the mother's like, wow, watching her child perform again. And now the mother starts feeding her answers. So like I asked the child, how old are you? I'm 9 years old. And I asked her how old she thinks I am. And so now the mother's like, he's this year old, this year. And then true to form, now she's just being tested. And now she just starts performing and parroting exactly what her mother is saying. And that's kind of the danger of this kind of mobile phone parenting, is that we only give our children attention when there's something wrong or they're performing something that can be posted to social media. I spoke to the woman about this afterwards, and I asked her if she knew that, the impact that it has on kids when their parents ignore them for their phones. It shocked me because this woman said that, yeah, she's a teacher, herself a teacher, and she knows that. Now, did I do the right thing? I don't know. I mean, as I said, I'm a foreigner in a foreign land, and I'm a visible foreigner in a foreign land, and people stare. And I know that when I say this, a lot of people get defensive and think, oh, we're not racist. I've not said that at all. What I am saying is that with the attention that we get here as foreign people, I find that particularly when it comes to children and youth, we have to be more conscious. So even if I'm in a public place like that, I would rather put my own phone down, even if I'm by myself, and be in the world around me than just bury myself in social media.